pandemic got us into a reflective space and made us look inward to see what we can do for the world at large. As a self-expression coach, I became a catalyst for women and started Vani, a one-on-one coaching program for women on finding their voice, to speak up, to be visible. As a storyteller, I spotted there were many ordinary people amongst us leading extraordinary lives, making a difference to the world, and they needed to be heard. Thus was born You and I with Rashmi Shetty, where amazing personal journeys with their uniqueness and individuality are showcased. A reaffirmation of the fact, open your eyes wider, the world is far more beautiful when we acknowledge the presence of both you and I. Our guest today is Uma Sudhindra, an experienced director with a demonstrated history of working in multiple organizations, skilled in planning and development, coaching, strategic management, and entrepreneurship. More than half a dozen organizations and several individuals have benefited from her skills and competencies. Her love for the outdoors gets her to organize amazing adventure holidays in border areas, which brings a completely different dimension to travel. She collaborates closely with the Indian Army to create something called as military tourism. Uma also devotes time to an armed forces veterans organization in India, where she oversees 2 projects. One project focuses on creating self-help groups for women empowerment, and in the second project, veterans adopt villages of brave hearts and help in making them model villages. Uma has co-founded an NGO, I'm Every Woman, which focuses on women and child safety issues. They also work with government bodies to spread the awareness of women and child safety. Hi, Uma. Such a pleasure seeing you after so long and the fantastic work that you do. I'm honored to have you on You and I with Rashmi Shetty. Welcome. And I'm excited to know what little Uma was, because the Uma Sudhindra I have met is so full of energy and life and always happy. So I want to know what little Uma was like.
Thank you, Rashmi. I know it's been ages since we met. Such a delight to be, on your show, on your talk show. And I'm thrilled and so proud to see you doing this. It takes me to a different realm altogether, I would say. But thank you for having me. And when you say little Uma, it just brings back so many memories. And the earliest I can probably think of is maybe when I was about 4 or 5 years. That's the age that I can actually go back to. And since you've mentioned happy person, it's been a happy childhood. I think a lot of that reflects in who I am today, because as a Fauji kid, you go through many experiences in life, and my parents ensured that there was happiness in all those experiences. One thing my brother and I both we were taught is to look at the brighter side of life. There will always be downs, okay, but it's the ups that actually take you to a different place in life, and they help you move forward more than anything else. And I think that adds to the happiness quotient in my life. So earliest memory is of traveling, different schools, different friends. It's I think travel has always been a big part of my life, right from childhood. Meeting different people, engaging with different people, having different kinds of friends, all of that has been part of growing up for me. And I think it makes me who I am as an individual. and talk, just learning about so many different things because you travel. That has shaped my life completely. I mean, I'll just to give you an example. I think I was probably in my eighth or ninth when I'm a very avid reader of books, okay, and I don't really distinguish between fiction, non-fiction, this theme, that genre. I read based on my moods, okay. So one of the first big books that I read, when I got out of Enid Blyton and Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys and, all those, one of the big serious books in the fiction category that I read was Godfather. Okay. And I was so taken in by Vito Corleone's character. I went and told my dad that, I'm thinking of joining the mafia, and I can so imagine. My father was so horrified. He said, how do you think it will sound, to somebody who actually gets to know us or knows us, that here is this army officer, ready to die for his country, and his firstborn wants to join the mafia somewhere, So yeah, I think what I've read, people I've met, interactions I've had, the travel, all of that has shaped my life and made me who I am. So I think, yeah, that's the, growth path, or that's the life journey that everybody else who they see me, now, people who see me now, that's what they see. I mean, it's just a culmination of everything that's happened in my life.
Okay, so if you are a Fauji kid, I'm sure you must have traveled through the length and breadth of India. And so your schooling, college, all happened all over the country, or are there some specific memories of school or college that you feel have remained with you since?
Oh, schooling happened all over the countryside. Actually, education happened all over the countryside. I'll put it that way. Okay. Large part of schooling happened in Bangalore, because Bangalore became the base every time, my father stepped out to a field area. So, my brother and I studied here in Bangalore itself. My graduation happened from Ferguson in Pune, and my master's happened from JNU in Delhi. And so I think, sets of friends that I have made over a period of time. The fortunate part is I'm in touch with a lot of them even today. Okay. And I think, as we all, can vouch for that, as you grow older, it's your friends who become your support system.
Yes.
That support system, I'm blessed to have all of them in my life, and they've stood by me through thick and thin, been there, done that with them, in terms of experiences. So right from going on holidays together to working together to, literally crying on each other's shoulders for the smallest of things to, mishaps in life that happen, with all of us, everything. I think that bonding that I've had with different sets of friends, you make different sets of friends over a period of time, with all of them. I think I've just been so blessed, that actually impacted my life a lot, in terms of the support system. Yeah. So anything specific do I want to talk about? Not really, because, I have friends that I can call at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I have friends with whom I can hang around throughout the day and, just do something or do nothing. There are two different levels of the spectrum. Yeah. So with some friends, you're so comfortable doing that. There are some friends with whom you trust everything in your life with. So yeah, all of them are part of that, lovely rainbow that colors my life.
Good, because not everyone's so fortunate. And I think, like you said, when you travel different parts of the country, what you get is true education. And that shapes who you are and who you become eventually. So, which subject did you do your master's, and how did life progress after that?
Oh, so interesting that you asked this question. You know, my parents always wanted me to be a doctor.
Mm.
Okay. And I only told them one thing. I said, see, medicine is a long haul
Yeah.
process of studying. You know, you can't just, and I didn't want to stop at just being, you know, an MBBS, because it just wouldn't have made sense. And I really wanted to, if at all I had been a doctor, I probably would have studied neurosurgery. You know, that was my passion at that point of time, I can say. That is what I wanted to do, rather. Okay, so I told them, I said, I would be very happy to be a doctor, but I had only one condition. I said, I am not going to get married till I finish my super specialization. I said, I didn't want to get bogged down with, you know, a set of responsibilities which could take me away from studying. Okay, that was in my head. And my mom said, nothing doing, you know, typical mom approach. You have to get married when you have to get married. So no waiting till you're, you know, 30, 35, whatever it is that takes for you to finish your super specialization. So I said, no, then sorry, I'm not going to become a doctor. And I think it was my dad who, you know, sort of balanced the entire thing. And he told my mom, he said, you need to give her space. So if your condition is that she needs to get married, which I agree, I mean, you know, he also felt that I had to get married at the right time. He said, let her do what she wants to do in terms of education, in terms of career, all of that. So I ended up choosing social sciences, humanities, and I did economics, political science, and history. Uh, my master's was in international relations.
Okay.
So yeah, and again, choice of these subjects was largely because of the kind of conversations we used to have around the dining table at home. Primarily, you know, current affairs, and you know, uh, my father drilled it in my head that history is a very important aspect. You know, when you study, you, irrespective of what specialization you do, what career you choose, it's important for you to learn history, because you know, he goes back to that classic old saying, people who don't learn from history are bound to make the same mistakes again and again. So history was something which was very, very interesting for me. So as a result, interest in political science, interest in economics was just a natural outcome of, you know, that one subject. And to build that interest in history, I have to thank one teacher of mine, you know, in my 8th, ninth, and 10th. So I did my 8th, ninth, and 10th from Vijaya High School in Bangalore. And we had this fantastic teacher called P.A. Kumar, P.A.K. in short. Uh, he kept that fire on as far as the subject was concerned. He was an amazing teacher. Uh, Great times, you know, we had just discussing a variety of things in school. And like I said, he just kept the fire on as far as, you know, interest in the subject was concerned. So yeah, that's, so those, you know, those are again things that sort of influence you over a period of time, and you don't forget those.
True. So, with international relations as your master's, how
Yeah.
did you proceed then? What did you do post that?
So, you know, you have milestones in life. That was one big milestone. So I got into international relations with the idea of either getting into the foreign service or working with the UN, or doing something in that space, in that field. So you know, like all good students, I started preparing for the UPSC when I was in my final year, and gave the prelims. cleared the prelims. 3 weeks after the prelims, we all come to know that the papers had leaked in Bihar. So the exam was held null and void. And they said, you will have to take up the exam again 6 months down the line. And I was heartbroken. So it also got me thinking, do I really want to spend another 6 months pursuing this? What if the same thing happens again? And I am not the kind of person to just sit at home and keep studying. I needed action in my life. So again, spoke to my parents about it, told dad that, this is very disappointing. He was also very disappointed. A bunch of my friends who were part of, we all studied together, we did the exam together. All of us were disappointed. And somewhere, like they say, something snapped. And I decided to then start working. So, a friend of mine called Shoma called me up and she said, hey, you know what? There's an organization called Confederation of Engineering Industry, CEI, and they are looking for trainees. They're looking for management trainees. And I think we should just go ahead and apply, because Shoma and I had done our UPSC studying together, prelims together, all of that. So I said, yeah, sounds good. I mean, let's just go ahead and, do it. So we did an entrance exam, cleared the interview. We were told that this is what your job profile is going to be. You'll be doing research, you'll be working on, all these projects which are mainly focused on trade and commerce and the economy. And we were happy, because it was our first job. You're excited, you're going to earn something on your own, etc., etc. So we did that, and that's how I got into CEI. But I never got into the research part of it, because the person who had interviewed me, gentleman called Ajay Khanna, I don't know what struck him, but he said, no, this girl is not meant for research. She'll be, she's a very people person. So let's put her in a role where she's interacting with people. So he actually made me part of his team, which is essentially the media team. Okay. And believe me, the learning that I had, they always say you need a boss who can push you in the right direction to learn, right? And Ajay was that boss for me. He only told me one thing. He said, life lesson number one is you need to build your relationships with people, whether it's your personal relationships, your professional relationships. Those relationships need nurturing. And if you're able to nurture those, you'll go a long way in life. And I think that's just sort of, stuck in my head. People I connected with in my first job, I'm still connected with them today also. So I think it's made a lot of difference. Working with Ajay, I would honestly credit a lot of who I am today as a professional to him. He has been that mentor, coach, guide. Those first 2 years were stupendous working with him. So that's how I became part of the corporate world. And CEI, of course, eventually became CII. And I quit CII when I got married and I had to move to Bangalore, much to Ajay's horror. I think he was the only one who came and told my dad. He said, Jan saab, aap bahut galti kar rahe ho. This girl needs a little more time to build her career. Don't get her married right now. So my dad told him, he said, I appreciate what you're saying, but well, her mother's, set her heart on this, so can't say no to her mother. So, well, Uma's going to get married and move on. And of course, yes, life was interesting after I moved back to Bangalore also, because, I started my second job was completely in a different space. It was in the HR space, because that gave me the time to sort of focus on family more than anything else. It was a sort of a consultant role. And I worked with a consulting company that was totally into recruitment and training. Okay. And training was not really such a big thing those days. I'm talking about early 90s. Okay. And it was just about sort of starting. And again, a lot of learning, with people with whom I worked with. And it's that has been a very, very interesting and fulfilling journey. My corporate career as part of learning and development. Okay. And within the HR space, I focused more on that because it just satisfied my urge to read, books and more books. So it was a series of multiple organizations. So I worked with this gentleman called Savi Naidu initially, who was running his own consultancy. And then I moved to MTV, moved to Dale Carnegie. They had just come into India. And then we did a shift of location. My husband was moving to Delhi. His company wanted him to move to Delhi. So we moved to Delhi. Then in Delhi, I worked with an organization called Chrysalis, which is a hardcore training organization. Lots of lovely stories and memories with that organization too. And then I moved to a company called IT&T, which is a software company. I was heading, learning and development and performance management there. IT&T was taken over by iGate at some point of time, iGate Global Solutions. And then was the time for me to come back to Bangalore because my in-laws called up and they said, hey, we are growing old. We want to, see the grandchildren grow up with us. And you can never refuse that.
Yeah.
You can never deny both sets, whether it's grandparents or the grandchildren, the pleasure of being with each other. So we shifted back to Bangalore and, so all of us stayed together. And again, my in-laws were a huge support system at that point of time because I was sort of growing in my career. Doing different things. Travel became an integral part of, the job itself. So without the two of them being the support system in the family, especially where my daughters were concerned, I think that was just perfect for me, So I could focus on doing what I had to do as far as my job was concerned. And they just sort of took over everything as far as the kids are concerned, homework, getting them to school, just being around there for them, all of that. In fact, when I came back to Bangalore and we decided to live together under the same roof, a lot of people asked me this question, saying, you've never stayed with your in-laws earlier, but how are you going to manage? I mean, it's an adjustment process. Don't you think it's going to be difficult? And I said, listen, between my mother-in-law and me, we are very, very clear about certain things. I have told her that ask me to do anything outside the house, I'll be happy to do it. You manage everything inside the house. But that arrangement just worked for us. So I think nurturing that support system also is very important.
This is so beautiful, Uma. There's so much that happened because in all the companies that you changed, the profiles of your job that started improving, getting different each time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you evolved in all those years. And your evolution, in a way, also made you absolutely ready for the challenge of moving back to Bangalore. And, one is mentors in our life who come in at the right time to give us that nudge, the push, and shape us. Then the situations in life that come at a time when we don't know, but most of the time we are prepared and we just move head on because the past experience had equipped us enough. And then we come into this beautiful arrangement. Like you said, the two sets, the grandparents and the grandchildren, need each other and understanding that. So there is so much that happened in this entire the learning curve that I can see. Looking back, what has been your biggest takeaway in that space where I'm sure you did a lot of self reflection and understood who you are evolving to be. So, and a lot of that may be who you are today as well, because living with in laws, as in aged parents or in laws, taking care and they being your biggest support system. I love the word that you said, nurturing, because I think that is something that is very important in both cases, to
Yeah.
nurture each other. So, what has your learning curve there been, Uma, looking back? And how did it help you evolve to what you're doing today?
Okay. I think the biggest learning for me all along
Hmm.
has been acceptance of people, situations, and behaviors as they are. Okay, because um, we really don't know what the other person is going through. Okay, we really don't know what has shaped the other person. So I think it's a very important thing to uh, endeavor to understand. Okay, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. I don't think any of us can do that, because what the other person has gone through is what they have gone through. And uh, we are no one to sit in judgment there. Okay. So for me, I think that has been the biggest lesson, not to judge and just to accept and adjust accordingly. You try and see how you can uh, make the change within your own behavior to nurture that relationship. I think that has been my biggest takeaway till today. And I think it's also been a strength, over a period of time. That's given me the strength to do different things with different people and in different situations. So yeah, that has been my biggest takeaway in all of this.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
how did life move then on? What did Uma pursue post that?
Oh, okay. So when we came back to Bangalore, and I had actually, put in my resignation in Delhi, saying I want to take a break. I'll come back to Bangalore. Not do anything for 2-3 months. Also, we were getting our house renovated. Just making all these minor adjustments in life. I said, I really want a break. I'm not going to do anything. And, so discussed it with my husband, saying, are we okay? Because even from the financial angle, are we okay if I take a break, not work for 3 months, etc., etc. So he said, you want to take a break, take a break. I mean, it's absolutely all right. It's important for us to sort of, resettle in Bangalore also. But the company did not let go. So they said, are you kidding? Why do you want to quit? I mean, we're giving you the opportunity to move to the corporate headquarters. Why would you want to quit? You want a break, you take a break, but don't quit. So the resignation letter was handed back to me, saying, please don't do this, go to Bangalore, meet people, in the corporate office. If things don't gel, then you quit. So that way, I was, fortunate and blessed to have a job in hand, even when I moved to Bangalore, pretty much on, the terms and conditions that I wanted. I said, guys, I want a break here. I mean, I don't want to do this anymore, at least for a bit. But they said, no, you take a break, but come back to work later on, that kind of a thing. So shifted to Bangalore, of course, met people in the corporate office, met the HR head, a wonderful lady called Lakshmi Chandrasekhar. Lakshmi again was very, very supportive. She said, listen, we all know what women go through. So you want that break, you want that adjustment time in Bangalore, please go ahead, take it. But yes, given the work that you've done in Delhi, we'd like you to be part of the team here. So I took a break for 2 months, sorted things out at home, finished the renovation part, everyone moved in, and work started. So from then onwards, for the next 3.5 years, of course, the career grew, and we had, there was restructuring in the organization, so new people came in, and I think I've been singularly blessed to have some amazing bosses, irrespective of the companies I have worked with. Okay. So the same thing happened when I moved to Bangalore also. One of my bosses was a lady called Anu Sharma. She was my last boss, so to speak, technically. Okay. Before I decided to quit and start on my own. Anu again has been a great mentor, a great, go-to person for me in a lot of things in life. So she and I would, discuss anything and everything under the sun, which, left so many beautiful memories for me, as part of my work life itself. We're still in touch, we still get together, all of that. That's a separate thing, you realize that some relationships are there for keeps, and with her that's been the case. So she again was somebody from whom I learned a lot. Very, very strong person, very strong individual who stands her ground if she believes in something, and somebody who just stood by her team all along. So till 2005 December was when I continued with iGate, from 2003 to 2005. And one fine day, Anu comes and announces that she's planning to quit the company, and so she's saying, I'm handing in my resignation, guys, and I'm going to be on a notice period, blah blah blah. So I was so heartbroken, because again, she was a great boss, somebody, like I said, she was my go-to person for a lot of things. And I started thinking, I said, am I going to be happy working in this organization if I have a different boss? And then I went to her and I told her, I said, listen, I don't think I can do this. So I also want to quit. She said, great. I mean, I love this, conversation that we are having, but quit to do what? Have you, sort of given it a thought? Do you want to move to another organization? This, that. So we had a couple of long conversations wherein she gave me one piece of advice. She said, Uma, if you have to quit, then quit to do something of your own. Do something for yourself. You go join another organization, you will end up spending time proving yourself. Here, you're managing 5,000 people, you're managing learning and development for 5,000 people, and another organization, you'll manage it for 10,000 people. You go to a larger company, okay? But if you do something of your own, who knows, you may be able to change the lives of just 10 people, but you'll change their lives. You'll do something very different. That got me thinking, actually. Because somewhere in my head, I had this thing, we all have such funny notions that we, harbor in our thought process. And I said, okay, I will do 2 decades of corporate life and then do something of my own. And here I am in my 15th, 16th year, this lady telling me that just start now, and she said, don't worry. We are all there to support you. You have a lot of friends who can, help you grow as an individual business person. So I was like, yeah, sure. That actually gave me that last push which I needed, So I moved out of iGate and started my own HR consulting company. Uh, Anu again was a great support system, because being an HR person herself, her consulting firm also did turnkey HR projects, and she took me in as the training partner. She said, whatever projects we pitch for, if there is a training segment in it, you are the automatic choice to handle that. So the first 2 years, she literally handheld me in my business itself. And we did some great work together again. Good work happened when I started expanding and, started building the business. So business happened right from, the Middle East to Southeast, different sets of clients, all of that. And finally, after about 5 years of doing this, building up the business to a certain level, I decided to move on and do something different, because I got an offer from someone to buy my organization out. And that was such a lovely feeling, that initially I didn't even realize what it meant. But when I went back to, few people whose advice in life I have valued very much, all of them told me, this is an amazing, aspect of your life. For somebody to have that faith that you've built the business to this level, and, to make an offer. So I said yes. And that's when I sold the company. And for the first time in my life, in my work life, took a sabbatical. And I said, I'm not going to do anything right now. I don't feel the need to, sort of go back to work to earn. And took a break. My daughters were growing up. So I said, let me spend a little more time with them. We did that, traveled, spent time with my parents, all of that, happened. In between, I had lost my, father-in-law. My mother-in-law was also lonely. So we did a lot of fun stuff together again. And when I decided to start something new, something different, unfortunately, that's the time we lost her also. So, I think life just changes so many things. And these are milestones again. And after that 6-7 months of, break and taking that sabbatical, I felt I was ready to do something. And I didn't want to go back to the HR space. So started thinking, the startup ecosystem was, brewing at that point of time. Got together with 3 very dear friends, and we decided to invest in different companies that came our way. We also did a lot of advisory work with these organizations. Some clicked, some didn't click, which is what it is in the startup world. The ones that clicked are growing, and we're happy that they're growing. The ones that didn't click, of course, you recover whatever you could recover. And we just, moved on from there. But 2014, 2015 were very significant years in terms of what I actually decided to do with my life. Okay. So having been a Fauji kid and growing up within the armed forces, I've always had this feeling of wanting to give back to the armed forces, and doing some work with them. Phenomenal institution. It has shaped me, my upbringing in that environment has shaped me completely as an individual. And I said, if there is an opportunity to do something like this is the time for me to start working on it. And a friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine, she and I were discussing, what to do. And one of the things that came up was, let's look at doing a travel business. Okay. And that's how everything that was associated with travel came back. And we wanted the travel company to be very, very different. And that's how the whole concept of military tourism came about for us. Because one of the things that Sonia's, this friend of mine who is also a partner in the company, Sonia and I figured out was that, when you travel abroad, there's so much of military history that is shared with you, about from that country. So if you go to Europe, you get to see World War I, World War II, and all those countries talk about all these historical events with such pride. We don't find that happening in India. Our military history is subsumed somewhere in the larger scheme of things. And yet, as a country, we have more than 5,000 years of military history. So the focus was then to start building certain things in that space. And we said, let's start looking at, the border areas, areas where there are war memorials, museums, all of that. So, we initially did our homework, research, put stuff together and came up with itineraries that we curated. And we started initially, without working with the Indian Army. We said, let's wet our feet and then go back to them with a concrete proposal. And we did that initially. So we did tours in Ladakh, we did tours in Uttarakhand. We hadn't touched the Northeast, but Northeast was very much, on our minds.
And when you say military tourism and you plan these tours in different places, what exactly were you doing as part of it, and how is it giving it back to the army?
Okay, so wars have been fought in different parts, okay, of the country. So if you look at right from Kurukshetra, okay, so Kurukshetra is one area where the Mahabharata was fought.
Yeah.
So, in a physical format, you don't see anything much there, but the narrative that you can just build around the entire thing. Okay. Today, Kurukshetra is a hustling, bustling commercial town. But, when you have the entire concept is based on narratives and storytelling. Okay, so when you take a group of people there with an amazing storyteller who can tell you about Mahabharata, what Kurukshetra was about, doesn't matter. You could be sitting there in a dhaba, okay, but the fact that you're sitting in that area, sitting in that place, and a great storyteller helps you visualize what could have happened, 5,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago. So the whole concept for us started from there. So Kurukshetra, Panipat, these are your older, wars that happened. We also wanted to make it current so that, people could relate to post 1947 scenario. So what we did was we picked battlefields, border areas where we could travel without taking permission from the army initially. Okay. Ladakh was a great place to start off with. So we actually kick-started with Ladakh and curated itineraries where we took people to places like Razangla, where, the 1962 war actually did a turnaround. We took them to Ladakh itself has so much of, military history, right from Zorawar Singh to, what happened in 62. So we picked up areas and we had veterans who traveled with us who actually became storytellers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So, so groups that went had somebody who would narrate.
Okay.
Okay. And that's been the concept for us all throughout.
Okay.
So we definitely have somebody who travels with the group sharing these stories. and that's when things come live for people. So we did that. That's how we started, actually. And fortunately for me, having grown up in the army environment, reaching out to the seniors was not such a difficult task. When I went back with a concrete proposal, and I said, this is what we want to do, but we also want to include adventure in this. Get people to trek, to hike, to explore multiple activities along with this. Now, Indian Army has something called as the Army Adventure Wing. Army Adventure Wing supports adventure activities mainly for the soldiers. Okay, but when I took the proposal, and God bless his soul, General Rawat was, the army chief at that point of time, and he said, "This is fantastic. We should do this for the civilians, and army will support you in the entire thing." So the proposal actually took a different shape then, and I said, civilians to climb, various border areas, peaks, whoever could do it physically. And if they cannot do it physically, then we do other itineraries where they travel by road. Okay, so those were the two things that we proposed. Army Adventure Wing was very supportive, amazingly, what can I say, proactive in terms of pushing for things and making things happen for us in terms of permissions, in terms of clearances, all of that. And in 2019, we launched our first civilian trek to Siachen Glacier.
Okay.
Yeah. So earlier, the army used to do it by themselves. But from 2019 onwards, we started partnering with them to take the civilians up to Siachen Glacier. Now, we also curated other itineraries, the Thagla Pass in Uttarakhand, Mana Pass near Badrinath. Then the Northeast happened. Okay, so step by step, a lot of these itineraries got curated. The local formations were informed about it. So generally, a buzz got created within the army circles, and of course outside also. Then I spoke to a whole bunch of people who are in the travel business itself, saying, guys, if you have customers who are interested in doing this, we'll be happy to partner with you, because we now know how the ropes work. So again, I had veterans who lead these groups of people who want to travel and experience this adventure with us. So and these veterans are veterans who've literally been there, done that in the space of adventure, certified mountaineers, certified paragliders, paratroopers, all of that. So we now have a resource pool that we work with to take people across. So we do what is called as military adventure tourism. And then we also do what is called as battlefield tours. Battlefield tours, we are supported by a think tank called the United Services Institute of India, USI for short. The content, the knowledge, all of that comes from USI. And we also get resource people from the USI to lead some of these battlefield tours. So that's, again, it's been a great journey, because now officially I go back to the army and say, hey, guys, happy to work with you and initiate different projects and work with them. So it's been wonderful the last 5 to 7 years, just building this entire thing up piece by piece. And as part of this, one of our programs that we do, again, as a give back to the army, is a program we curated called Call of the Mountains. Now, Call of the Mountains is a musical entertainment program for the soldiers in Ladakh. Okay.
Okay.
We started this in 2017, and I've had some amazing people who've again supported me on this. One of them being Dr. Prakash Sontake, who has been with us right from the first program. He's done every year, he's come back to perform in Ladakh for us. He actually helped me curate the entire thing, understanding the format, how it can be delivered, all of that. Along with him, I had Vasu Dikshit and Bindu, Vasu's wife, both amazing artists. Both of them also have been a tremendous support system in this. I brainstorm with them, look at ideas, and, you come up with such wacky stuff, but at the same time, which is totally entertaining for the soldiers. So we've been doing that year on year. Of course, 2020, we didn't do it because of the pandemic, but 21, again, we went back. And last year, also being, Amrit Mahotsav, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we actually performed in 5 different places, thanks to the Indian Army again. And we were the first ones to perform at Siachen Base Camp. A live concert was held for the first time in 75 years at Siachen Base Camp. And Dr. Sontake's group performed there, So it was such an amazing experience. Now, this is something we want to take to the other parts of India also, the other mountain states. And then we also want to take it to our coastal areas, give it a different name there, Call of the Seas, and perform for our naval troops, stationed along the coast. Of course, when we perform for the Army, Air Force is included. So, they are all part of the audience for us there. So this is something which personally gives me such joy, just to see that happiness on, the faces of the soldiers when they're sitting there for those 2 hours, 2.5 hours, enjoying music and entertainment otherwise. This is an activity that we do in Ladakh every year, August, September, that's the season. We get there to do this. So that has been, what has kept me busy the last few years. And I don't think I want to change this for anything now.
What a beautiful life, Uma. And how beautifully it has been orchestrated with all the right people coming in. I feel sometimes it's the purity of intent. And when you put it out there, all you need to do is take one step and the universe does the rest for you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I should also mention that, companies that have sort of supported us all throughout, and because Call of the Mountains is purely a sponsored activity, and one organization and one person who's literally stood by us all along is L&T Mutual Funds. These guys have, been there for us all along. The CEO, Kailash Kulkarni, he's believed in the cause, of doing this for the soldiers. As an organization, they also do a lot of other work with the Army. So I think that belief that he brought in all throughout, they've been, with us, hand-holding us in this entire journey. So, I keep ragging him, and I said, see, you're my 3 a.m. friend, literally, somebody whom I can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I need help now, So, I think you're right. The universe has been responding very kindly. That makes a lot of difference. Of course, there are ups and downs, minor glitches in life, I would say. These are your speed breakers. And it just allows you to slow down, pause, think about where you're going, what you're doing, and then you still continue to move on after that.
That's so true. And talking about glitches and pauses, I think the pandemic was the biggest one. None of us had a choice. We all had to pause.
Absolutely.
And all of us took back something. And essentially, the common lesson most of us did was we can manage with minimal stuff. And the excesses were pretty evident. But for you, Uma, for the wonderful work that you've been curating, doing, coordinating, I'm sure it takes a lot of your time and energy. What did the pandemic give you in reflection?
One of the biggest things that the pandemic reinforced for me, the acceptance part. When we started having cases in our apartment complex, and people in the family friend circle, when they got infected with the virus, initially, if you remember, uh, there was this general feeling of treating these people like, oh my god, let's not get close to them, let's not interact with them. What if the virus comes and hits me? And I kept wondering, I said, listen, this is something that can happen to anyone. Why would you want to keep the person away, or keep the family away, and not empathize with them, and not be there for them? And this is something we discussed within our own neighborhood. Some of us were very upset with how people were being treated. Fortunate enough not to get infected in 2020, but I got infected in 2021. Okay. So, and I kept thinking, I said, somewhere, even if I was asymptomatic and, I was infected with the virus, I didn't even realize it. Nobody has the right to be judgmental about people, who get infected, not just the coronavirus, but anything else in life, any other illness in life. And I said, please don't treat them like you treat literally untouchables. Everyone became an untouchable. And I used to wonder, why would human beings do this? End of the day, we are support system for each other. Okay. That was one of the biggest things. Again, reinforcement of, what I had always believed, that accept and, don't judge people for what they go through. The second thing that actually struck me, see, we're all aware of these things, but I think it takes a pandemic for you to actually realize and act on, certain things, how much we've taken for granted as far as nature is concerned. When people started sharing all those lovely pictures of birds flying, and peacocks coming out because there are no human beings on the roads, and this was world over. This phenomena happened world over, where nature just came back because there was bare minimum human interference. And that for me was, I think we should just continue with this, and I wish everybody wakes up to this, realizes that it's important to coexist with nature and not corrupt nature. And like you rightly said, there's greed and there's need. And where do you draw the line between the two? After a long period, I cleaned up so many things at home, and this junk that you accumulate over a period of time, I said, I'm just going to give it away to whoever wants to take it. So starting with the maids and the driver in the house, and, I told them, I said, please tell within your own neighbors, please inform them that, all the stuff is available for people to take away. Just check and empty out, empty out, empty out. And despite doing that for 2 years, Rashmi, I still feel there's so much of junk at home. But yeah, I think these have been some of bigger takeaways for me. Accepting, keeping relationships intact, working with whatever you have. All right, without without the shusha, like they say, and you can still get work done. Yeah, I've always been a nature loving person. I mean, if I had my way, I would live in the mountains all my life, which hopefully I intend to do. I've been sending these signals out to the universe, very strongly saying, please get me to the mountains. So hopefully that should happen. But yeah, just coexisting with nature has been, again, a huge bonus from the pandemic itself.
Yeah, beautifully said. And from our conversation itself, there's so much you have shown about how life has shaped you to who you are. But if I'd ask you three life lessons that you'd like to leave us with, what would they be, Uma?
One of the things I would honestly like to share with people is, there's always a sunrise. Despite the sunset every evening, despite the darkness at night, there's always a sunrise for every. You just need to wait out those few hours. And even in those few hours of darkness, you still have a moon shining and you still have the stars sparkling. Okay. Wait for the sunrise, give it time, you can glow with the sunrise, you know. So that's, I think people need to be optimistic. People need to be hopeful in life, and not really get bogged down by, you know, little incidents, which are lessons by themselves, you know. So that's something, that's the first one I would tell people. The second one is, follow your passion. All of us are passionate about something or the other. Not necessarily make it a career choice, because some of us don't have the luxury of doing that. Okay. Some of us are in jobs which really pay us extremely well, but we are not really passionate about it, or we start to develop a liking for it over a period of time. But dig deeper inside you, you'll find a passion. Keep that passion, do something about it, you know. It could be spending 1 hour a week doing something related to your passion, but please do it, because the inner joy it gives you, that cannot be compared with anything else, you know. I think that's the second life lesson that I would say, because I have been fortunate to discover these passions and do something about it. I really feel strongly about, you know, the whole passion business. The third life lesson is, people who are with you, please be with them. And these are real people, you know. These are not like your social media likes and dislikes. Okay, these are real people who've been there for you. You just need to recognize that and acknowledge that. And I think as human beings, we don't want anything else. Just the recognition and the acknowledgement that, yes, you're there for me and I'm there for you. That creates some beautiful relationships otherwise.
Wow. So human doing to human being is what you so beautifully summed up. And being human is something that I think the pandemic taught us best on how to just be there. And
Absolutely.
yeah, wonderful. Uma, may your tribe increase. Love the work that you're doing.
Thank
All
you
the universe's blessings and power to you for the
so much.
beautiful work that you're doing. Honored to have had you in this conversation on You and I with Rashmi Shetty. Really happy to reconnect. And if there's any way I can be of some kind of a small little screw in this beautiful piece that you're creating, I'd
Oh,
be more than happy to step in, Uma.
absolutely. I mean, it's been a privilege and an honor to be part of your show, and happy to share, you know, whatever I have shared all along. And yes, you know, your podcasts are listened to by so many people. Uh, if you know, if the message can be sent out, you
Yes.
know, to people about some of these things, and yeah, I mean, if people, by listening to your podcast, if they want to get connected
Yeah.
and travel with us, most happy to take anyone along with us.
Oh, great. Okay, so we'll share all the links that they can get in touch with you with.
Absolutely.
And all I can tell you is all the very best. And like you've always done, the universe has supported that purity of intent. May you continue to shine, Uma. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for
Thank you
sharing
so
your
much. Thank you.
With that, we come to the end of this weekly quest of You and I with Rashmi Shetty. Do let us know if you know people who make the world beautiful. Write in to rashmi.thethirdeye@gmail.com. That is rashmi.thhirdeye@gmail.com. Come, let's explore this amazing world together, both you and I.